What are your favorite scenes from all the James Bond movies? The 25 James Bond movies from Eon Productions have had many epic and memorable scenes that resonated strongly with viewers throughout the world. So, let's see which scenes of each of the James Bond movies have captured the minds and hearts of Bond fans. See if you agree. Hi, this is Dan.
And Tom.
From SpyMovieNavigator.com and our podcast show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. All right, let's go. Dr. No. Let's start with that, 1962. Well, of course, the classic, maybe the best in any Bond movie. Sean Connery as James Bond's introduction in Dr. No, a fan favorite. The first time Sean Connery says,
Bond. James Bond.
At the casino table. This iconic line set the tone for the entire series. And Eric Seabury, one of our listeners and one of our private members on Facebook, agrees. He says Connery's Bond's introduction to Dr. No, the best. All right. What else we got from Dr. No, Tom?
Okay, so if you're talking about introductions,
Yeah.
one of the best in the whole series is Honey Rider's entrance into the movie.
Yes, that's a fan favorite.
Yeah, when she comes out of the sea in that white bikini, she's got that knife on and everything. I mean, the franchise even tried to replicate this with Jinx emerging from the water and Die Another Day.
Yeah, Halle Berry, yeah.
Then they switched it up and made it Craig emerging from the water in Casino Royale. So it's a classic entrance scene, first time done here.
Yeah, you're looking for shells? No, I'm just looking.
And yes, she is a fan favorite.
Yeah, she's a fan favorite. Spider scene is also a fan favorite from Dr. No. Bond's tense encounter with the tarantula in his bed would showcase the film's suspenseful elements. Now, he was indeed afraid, and you can tell a glass pane was between Sean Connery as Bond and the spider. So I love when he kills it with his shoe, and the music is timed to each hit. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, they know how to do that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Well,
All right.
and you talk about killing then when he kills Dent. The whole.
And you've had your six.
To me, that's one of my favorite scenes in this whole movie because it shows the ruthlessness of the assassin James Bond.
Yep.
And it was controversial, and they actually cut it to make it less controversial because they had him unload his weapon into him. So this was a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. Fans around the world love that one. All right. Dr. No's Lair. Everybody likes Dr. No's Lair. They thought it was pretty cool. And of course, the final showdown in Dr. No's Lair featuring the villains and his plans, of course, and Bond's daring escape and the fight to the death for Dr. No, which of course set us up for the next movie.
Well, and I think this is one of the reasons some of these are fan favorites is they set up the franchise.
Yeah.
The franchise uses some of these things, right? So you've got the concept of the villain having a lair here, and we see it throughout.
Yep. All right, let's go. Let's move on to From Russia with Love.
How are we going to pick out fan favorites on this one when almost every scene would qualify?
The whole movie is ridiculously good, but of course, the top 4 fan favorites are the train fight. Of course, that's one of the best in any Bond movie ever. It may be the best train fight in any movie ever. The brutal and realistic fight between Bond, of course, and Red Grant, Robert Shaw, aboard the Orient Express is often cited as one of the best fight scenes in the series and in cinematic history. Eric Seabury, again from our Facebook group, also selected this one. So there you go.
I would totally agree with that. Now, another one, I'm starting to sense the theme. I'm talking Honey Rider. Now I'm going to talk about the Gypsy camp.
Yeah.
Now, part of the Gypsy camp was the whole fight and all of that. But there was the big battle. But then you also had the fight with the 2 gypsies.
Yes.
And you had to like that. It gave us a mix of action, exoticism, and maybe even a little eroticism with that fight between the 2 women.
Yeah. I love the whole gypsy camp scene. The whole fight, the big fight when Robert Shaw protects Bond there for a moment. The whole fight scene in general, and then, of course, the gypsy fight. Great stuff. All right. Let's look at the briefcase gadget. Come on, a gadget. Look at this. The use of Bond's gadget-laden briefcase, especially during the confrontation with Grant on the train, it highlighted the clever use of spy gadgets. And really, Dr. No, you didn't see a lot of gadgets. They had the Geiger counter, and that was about it.
Right. This is really where we first
intro.
start to see spy gadgets.
Yeah. Right. So that was
And
another fan favorite. And of course, what else we got?
we have to talk about the helicopter chase. I mean,
Yeah.
that chase scene where he's running on that plateau, fantastic. I've been on that plateau. Very,
Yep.
very cool. And Dan, what else about this helicopter scene do we like?
Yeah. Hey, Tom and I got to sit in this very helicopter. See our YouTube channel on that one. It, yeah, it still exists. The real helicopter that was flying, not the model, the real helicopter. We were in it. Oh boy, that was fantastic. The Ian Fleming Foundation owns it, and they loan out these vehicles to exhibitions. All right, there's so many great scenes in From Russia with Love. Those were the top four favorites. Now, I love Karen Bay. He's one of my favorite, and he didn't appear in any of these top four that fans picked. But man, any scene with Karen Bay in that, I love too.
He was in the Gypsy camp.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was in the Gypsy camp. Yeah, but I love the whole when he's shooting Krylenko and everything. He was just fantastic. He was a great loss when he passed away. All
Yeah,
right,
absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead then and move on to Goldfinger.
Goldfinger 1964.
And
All
the number
right.
one fan favorite scene there is the laser scene. We
Yeah,
have the
cars.
introduction to lasers in movies. They hadn't been shown before. And
Yep.
you got Bond on that table, and he says his famous line, "Do you expect me to talk?" And Dan, what was Goldfinger's response?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Hey, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I mean, this is an iconic moment where that laser beam is trying to get him. I mean, it's just so well done. And it introduced a new piece of science most people hadn't seen before. And
Yep.
now we see them in many, many places.
Yeah, and then we got the gold painted girl, of course. That's it. The shocking discovery of Jill Masterson's body covered in gold paint. It left a lasting impression on viewers, fan favorite worldwide, and it was mimicked with oil in Quantum of Solace, of course. Now, they had to strategically place a pillow for the Goldfinger scene so that it wouldn't show her butt because, she's painted gold. In Quantum of Solace, they didn't worry about that.
How times have changed.
And we talked
Yeah.
to Roberto Schaefer, who was the director of photography for Quantum of Solace, and he talks about how they orchestrated this very scene. So take a listen to that one.
Now, we can't talk about this movie, or at least I can't, without talking about the golf match. And I may be
Okay.
biased here as why it's one of my favorite scenes in this movie, because I'm a golfer, I'm a former caddy. I love to see them take this onto the golf course. And everything from the attention to the rules, the match itself, and of course, the way the caddies interacted, to me, made this a classic. It's so good to see caddies in a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, Dan, you and I
know,
actually have been there.
yeah, we've been to OCTOPUSSY. Yeah. We've been there. That was fantastic. When we actually had a brunch there
We
and
did.
walked all over the grounds. Very
Yep.
cool. All right.
And
Odd
and
Job.
it was also used in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yep. All right. Odd Job's hat. Of course, everybody in the world loves the scene when Odd Job uses his steel-rimmed hat as a deadly weapon. This became a signature moment in Goldfinger. We actually see lethality of the hat at the end of the golf scene, which sets up the Fort Knox sequence very nicely. All right, and of
Yeah,
course,
I like how they split that up like that, because you got to see that this thing is a dangerous hat
yeah,
before you get to see it used as a weapon in a battle.
yeah, and then we see it used, of course, on Tilly Masterson, and
Yeah.
Bond was a little upset about that. All right,
Yeah.
the Fort Knox heist, got to have that. That's another fan favorite.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you've got Goldfinger's lair. Right?
Yep,
We're talking
with
about
the
these
lair.
lairs these guys
Fantastic.
have. Right. And his whole headquarters with that revolving table with the map. I mean, that was just fantastic.
Yeah, that was a great set by Ken Adams.
Yeah,
Ken
absolutely.
Adams strikes again. Nice stuff. All right.
Yep. And then something that fans really like is that this is the first movie where we see Q's lab.
Yep.
Right. Bond gets the first Aston Martin DB5 with modifications. And we
Yeah.
other see some other gadgets in the lab. So
Yeah.
it took till movie 3 for them to figure out what to do with the gadgets. They kind of started setting it up a little bit in movie 2. Now in movie 3, they're taking it forward. And fans love it every time that you see Q
Yeah.
and his labs.
Yeah, don't touch that red button. It's an ejector seat. You're joking, Q. I never joke about my work. 007. Oh my God. All right, Thunderball 1964. Of course, the underwater battle, the extensive underwater fight scenes were groundbreaking and visually stunning for their time. It was very exciting. They filmed it all in about 6 days, it has been reported, in the Bahamas, of course. Fantastic stuff. We love that scene too. So you can see why that's a fan favorite.
Well, it's interesting when this came back and we looked at this, we heard this was a fan favorite because it's also a scene that a lot of people think was too long.
Mm-hmm.
But the innovation, especially at the time when this came out, you didn't really have a lot of that kind of underwater filming.
Yep.
So it was groundbreaking.
Yep.
And speaking of groundbreaking, the jetpack escape.
Yeah.
When Bond escapes using that jetpack in the pre-title sequence here, it's one of the most memorable, familiar gadgets in the whole series. It's fantastic.
Yep.
And I just read this week that there's a guy who is selling some of this type of technology to the military. They're starting to get it where they can productize it finally. But it still has a really, really short flight time.
Yeah. The real one here in this movie was flown by Bill Suter. And I think it was a 30-second time limit on the whole flight. So he had to be good. He insisted on a helmet because he wasn't going to film this without a helmet. So that's why you see Bond take the time to put on a helmet when he's trying to escape the mansion there.
Safety first, James.
Yeah. But now, this jetpack, everybody calls it a jetpack, but in real life, it was called the Bell Textron rocket belt. So there you go. All right. Let's move on to the shark pool as another fan favorite scene. Wow. Yeah. The 10th scene where Bond is trapped in the pool with sharks. Yeah. That added a whole new level of danger. Largo. Oh, he's so mean.
All right. So talking about Largo here, the final boat battle. I mean, on the Disco Volante, the high speed action, the huge explosion, the fact that Bond didn't kill Largo, it left a very strong impact. Literally.
Yep. Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally.
Right. And then we get to what I think is.
But again, I mean, really, like I said, Bond didn't kill. He was saved once again by a strong woman.
Yeah.
I mean, this happens a lot in movies. Well, of course, you need allies. You need allies. Bond was good at getting them.
Get by with a little help from my friend.
Yeah. All right.
Now, one of my favorite parts of this whole movie is when Fiona Volpe is in the bathtub. Would you mind giving me something to put on? And Bond hands her those slippers.
Yeah, that's a great scene. We talked to Luciana Paluzzi just a month or two ago, and she was talking about that scene as well. So she was a delight to talk to. Take a listen to that one as well. All right, we're moving on.
You only this fan's favorite.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. She was a fan favorite too. People loved her in that movie. All right. You Only Live Twice, 1967. Yeah. A lot of stuff here. The volcano lair, of course, #1 in fan favorites for this movie. The reveal of Blofeld's secret volcano lair. I mean, iconic, epic. This is a great set. Again, Ken Adams, a genius. It cost at the time $1 million to produce. A fan favorite.
Absolutely. And another fan favorite in this one, Little Nelly.
Yeah, Little Nelly.
Everybody loves Little Nelly.
Yep.
That aerial battle featuring the Bond's autogyro, Little Nelly. Yep. I mean, that thing's equipped with various gadgets. Everybody seems to love this thing.
Yeah,
and it's kind of cute because it's a small little helicopter kind of thing.
But you could assemble. It comes in cases.
Yeah, they could ship it to them and assemble
ship it. All right. The ninja assault, the climatic battle where ninjas storm Blofeld's lair. It's thrilling and visually impressive, and fans love it. And Bond's death. The opening sequence where Bond fakes his own death to go undercover is a memorable start to the movie. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, 1969. All right, the opening beach fight scene in the pre-title sequence is fantastic, a fan favorite, where Bond rescues Tracy from attackers on the beach and from killing herself in the ocean. Yeah, man, followed by this line, "This never happened to the other fellow." It's a standout moment. Tom and I visited that beach in Portugal near Lisbon. It's beautiful. We found all the spots they used to film these scenes. We interviewed Terrence Mountain, actually, who was Raphael, the guy fighting Bond on the beach. One of the two guys fighting Bond on the beach, the one holding the gun on him. Fantastic. All right.
And actually, the nice thing about this movie is a lot of these places are accessible.
Yeah.
So you've got that beach. Then you, of course, have the Piz Gloria assault. Really anything up in Piz Gloria, but the assault itself.
You're a fan of Bond movies. You got to love that place. You got to love that scene.
You should get up there. When they do that fight at the end, at the top of Piz Gloria, wow, that was cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, the helicopters, the whole battle, everything, the visual, stunning cinematography, great stuff. All
Yep.
right, and then of course, fan favorite, Bond's marriage, Bond's wedding to Tracy is a unique and emotional moment in the series. A first.
What I like about the marriage, they didn't show the whole ceremony. They showed you just enough. Okay, they got married,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Which I like the
Here,
fact that they did
here's the
that.
reception.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that.
We've been to that mansion where the reception was in Portugal and to Draco's bull ring where his birthday party was. Fantastic. All right.
Another favorite with mixed emotions again is the ending where
Yeah.
Tracy's killed. Shocking end to a Bond movie and fan favorite, but with, oh man.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
fact,
that was a tough ending to a Bond movie. Not the happy ending where he ends up with the girl.
now
Whoosh.
Eric
Tough.
Seabury had a quote on this movie too. He had sent in
Did he a
about,
scene he liked? Yeah.
yeah, about
Yeah.
a scene. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah, yeah. He loved the scene when Ruby writes 8 on Bond's leg in her with her lipstick. And Cleb asks Bond if there's anything the matter, and he replies, "That's the slight stiffness coming on." It's like, all right, thanks, Erica.
Yeah, and of course, you have to love the ski chases in this movie. You
Yeah,
see
yeah,
Bond
yeah.
on skis, really fun
First
chases.
time. Yeah, first
First
time we see
time.
Bond on snow skis. Yeah,
Yep.
right.
So very, very cool.
All right, time for a few shout outs to our listeners who have provided feedback on some of our recent episodes. So, a big shout out to Bill Canis, who gave us feedback on our Luciana Paluzzi interview, and Michael Fox, who also gave us feedback on that interview as well. And Pietro Rossi gave us feedback on our year end in review for 2024. And John Moss, who gave us feedback on our episode on the in laws. And we got a bunch on our Rachel Grant interview already, which just came out recently. I'll just mention a couple of them. Ed Kilbane and Tim Phelps, of course, who always gives us feedback, said he loved this episode as well. All right, there we go. On to Diamonds Are Forever. All right, the Bambi and Thumper scene, of course, the scene where Bond fights the acrobatic duo Bambi and Thumper is both thrilling and memorable for its unique choreography and location. The Elrod House in Palm Springs, California. We interviewed Trina Parks, Thumper, so check that one out. She's a delight.
And then we've got two chases. All right, we've got the moon buggy chase,
Yeah.
which was very cool to see that done. And in fact, we have an episode where we talk about the gadgets in this movie, and Joe Papalardo talks about the fact that that really wouldn't have worked well with the moon buggy on Earth because it was designed for zero gravity.
Yeah.
And then the other car chase that we hear about is the one in Las Vegas, where they're in downtown Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So what I love about scenes like that is they're places you've been or you could go to really, really easily. So that was very well done.
Yeah. Another fan favorite, the elevator fight scene. Of course, this intense fight between Bond and Peter Franks in an elevator is the highlight for a close quarters combat. Tom and I visited Tiffany Case's house in Amsterdam. The outside is just as filmed. When the door opens, of course, it's Pinewood Studios. So there you go. But
Yeah,
Tiffany
Case
was not in
didn't know
when we
her.
were there.
Tiffany Case didn't open the door when you knocked, did she?
Yeah, I wish she would have. That'd have been nice. All right. And then you got the oil rig finale. This climatic battle on Blofeld's oil rig with its explosions, high stakes, memorable conclusion to the movie. Tom and I got to see the Batho sub at a Bond in Motion exhibit in London one time. So that's pretty cool. All right.
Yep. All right. The next thing that I'm going to lump into fan favorite is multiple scenes, but the scenes with Winton Kid. People
Yeah, they
seem
were
to love
unique.
those scenes, especially how they got their own music, and you knew they were there even when you didn't see them because of the music.
Yep.
All right. So another thing that fans like to see in Bond movies is Moneypenny. And this
Yeah.
is one of the first times we see her not at her desk. She's at that passport checkpoint where Peter Franks comes in.
Yep.
And she's talking about Bond trying to bring her back a diamond ring.
Yeah,
So,
it was nice.
yeah, it's a short, sweet scene, but everybody loves seeing Moneypenny, and this is not her at the desk.
Yeah, yeah, out in the field. All right, on the Live and Let Die, 1973, the crocodile jump, of course, fan favorite number one, I think. The scene where Bond escapes from the crocodile farm by running across the backs of crocodiles is one of the most iconic stunts in the series. So there you go.
There's not enough money for you to pay me to have done that.
Now, also the boat chase, another fan favorite, the
that's
thrilling
great.
boat chase through the Louisiana bayous, a standout action sequence that received a ton of attention.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Another one was the double-decker bus escape, where the top of the bus gets sheared off.
Yeah.
That's one of those that we hear about a lot.
Yeah, we saw some stuff on that too, and how they did that. They had rails up there so it could slide off, and it was pretty cool the way they actually did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now another one is the stacking of the deck
yeah,
when Bond stacks the tarot deck with solitaire.
yeah. Right,
Fun
lovers.
little scene, but really sets up the movie because then they end up in bed together. So
Yeah, really. I like the pre-title sequence in Live and Let Die, and that wasn't one of the top things that came out of this. But I love this. Anyway, Baron Samedi's resurrection, another fan favorite. The eerie scene where Baron Samedi, the voodoo priest, appears to come back to life. That's a memorable and spooky moment and a fan favorite. All
and
right,
very short. So
and short.
that's what I think really makes it. It's all of a sudden like boom, right at the end.
Yeah. All right.
Whoa.
The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974. What do we love there? The
Okay,
fans.
you gotta start out with the funhouse.
Yeah, the fans love
Right?
the Funhouse.
The surreal and eerie funhouse where Scaramanga tests his skills is a standout scene.
Yep.
And Christopher Lee in that role made it even better.
Yeah, the car jump too. I mean, absolute fan favorite. The spectacular car stunt where Bond performs a 360 corkscrew jump over a broken bridge is one of the most memorable stunts in the series, and probably really in virtually any movie, because it was
Yeah.
really done. This isn't CGI stuff.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and if they hadn't done the slide whistle, because the slide
yeah, I
whistle
know you
doesn't
didn't like
bother.
the slide whistle.
No, I mean the slide whistle doesn't bother me too much. But there are people who hate the scene because of it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
you're watching one of the coolest stunts,
yeah, ever.
and so turn your volume off when they started or something then, because
Unfortunately, they
it
did
is
it
what
one
it is.
take.
Yes.
The Golden Gun Duel, a final duel between Bond and Scaramanga in the Funhouse, is a tense and iconic showdown. That another fan favorite. And then you got Knick Knack's attack, the scene where Bond fights Scaramanga's diminutive henchman, Knick Knack. It adds a unique and memorable twist to the movie. I thought it was cute, but it wouldn't have been one of my fan favorites. But hey, what the heck?
Well, the thing with me on that is I saw a documentary on Hervé Villechaize, and his mom walked out of the premiere and supposedly never talked to him again because she
Wow.
thought he let them make fun of a short person.
Wow. Okay.
And so that had some lasting effect.
Yeah. All right. All right. We're moving on to The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, one of my favorite Bond movies, period. All right. The ski jump. Of course, this is a fan favorite. It's a fan favorite in any Bond movie, let alone this Bond movie. The opening ski chase scene, ending with Bond skiing off a cliff and deploying a Union Jack parachute, one of the most memorable stunts in this series. So that is a fantastic scene. And Rick Sylvester is the guy who actually did the jump.
Well, and they tried to kind of almost duplicate this in Die Another Day, which was another reason that Die Another Day sucked, in my opinion.
You don't like that movie. All right.
No. All right.
Other
So then
than,
let's
of
talk.
course,
Yeah. So let's.
Rachel Grant. She was great.
Well, yes, she of course was great, but the movie wasn't.
Yeah.
All right. Then another thing is we love our cars. And here, this isn't a DB5. We get the Lotus Esprit, which transforms into that submarine.
Yeah.
Dan, you and I visited every filming location for that Lotus
Yes.
chase in Sardinia.
Yes.
Took some hours to do it, but it was really, really cool. We got a YouTube video on our YouTube channel
Yeah.
for an episode on this.
Yeah. Sardinia, Italy is gorgeous. All right. Jaws introduction, of course. Everybody loved Jaws. They brought him back for Moonraker, of course. The introduction of the henchman Jaws with his steel teeth, it left a lasting impression on viewers. One of the most popular henchmen in any Bond movie.
Now, another fan favorite for a movie that some people didn't really think this was as exciting, but really in this movie, Atlantis battle.
Oh, yeah.
And so the climactic battle at Atlantis, Stromberg's underwater lair.
Yeah.
It's thrilling, and it's a visually impressive sequence, though a lot of people didn't really think Stromberg was that great of a villain. The set here, Atlantis, was very cool.
Yeah, a lot of people, they love the scene. Yeah, but yeah, he wasn't the strongest villain. But what the heck? All right, we like Jaws, so hey, let's bring him back. We got Moonraker, 1979. Let's cash in on the space interests in 1979. So they bring up Moonraker as the next movie they're going to make. The opening skydiving sequence, a fan favorite. This thrilling scene where Bond is pushed out of a plane without a parachute, and he engages in a midair fight with Jaws. and is often highlighted for its excitement and the stunt work. We have an episode out on the pre-title sequence for Moonraker, which is very popular. So, hey, cool scene.
All right, so if we're going to talk about Moonraker, we've got to talk about our friend Jaws again and how he kind of switches, right? He was initially a villain, and then he becomes more sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially he gets a romantic interest. And this shift in his character was memorable for many people. And he wanted a small woman with blonde hair as his love interest. Richard Kiel did, the actor. And so, because he wanted somebody who looked more like his wife. So Dolly was played by Blanche Ravlek, was perfect for that role.
And the space battle. Everybody loved the space battles, the climatic battle in space with laser guns and zero gravity combat. It was unique and certainly an ambitious scene that drew mixed reactions, really. But a lot of people have listed this as one of their favorites. So we're listing it here as a fan favorite. Some found it exciting. Others felt it was a little too far-fetched. James Bond in space. Hey, I thought it was a little far-fetched.
You know, another favorite scene you just mentioned, Zero Gravity, was the centrifuge trainer where Bond gets spun around and around and around, and he has to figure out how to stop that. So that's another one that I've seen people talk about. The hunting scene and the way that Corinne Dufour dies is something it's memorable.
That was brutal.
Some people liked it. Some people were like, "Oh my god!" And then I love the fight in the Glass Museum mainly because of the way it ends. So
yeah. All right, we're moving on. 1981, For Your Eyes Only, one of Moore's best outings as James Bond. The pre-title sequence, everybody's favorite. It's a fan favorite. The number one probably in this movie, where Bond visits Tracy's grave and then confronts a wheelchair-bound Blofeld. Well, whoever. It's supposed to be Blofeld. They couldn't use Blofeld. That was memorable for its emotional weight and action. We visited the graveyard that Bond visits, right where Tracy's grave was, and the field where the helicopter landed that picked him up at the Church of St. Giles in Stoke Poges, Buckinghamshire.
You talk about the pre-title sequence here as being a fan favorite. I know a lot of people who like the beginning of it when he's at Tracy's grave, and I know a lot of people who hate pseudo Blofeld guy.
Yeah.
So it's a little mixed emotions on that one.
That part's not my favorite.
All right, so now let's talk about chases. We love chases. There's a great chase sequence in here, including these guys on their motorcycles. And this scene is praised for its excitement and its choreography. And I love the ski jump in that sequence. So you give me a good ski chase. I like it.
Yeah, you can see why it was picked as a fan favorite. It's a great scene. All right. And the cliff climbing scene, of course, at the end where they're climbing Meteora. Hey, this tense scene where he climbs this cliff to infiltrate the villain's hideout, it's noted, of course, for its suspense and the practical effects of it. Actually, Rick Sylvester is the guy, the stuntman again, who did the fall when he fall, and he had to admit later that he's like, I'm falling all this way, and I gotta hope this rope catches me. I mean, the cleats catch me. It's like, oh man, yeah, the guy's crazy. But anyway, that was a great scene, fan favorite too as well. All right. In fact, Leonard Gulbertson of our group agrees. He said the climbing scene in For Your Eyes Only is great.
So another scene that I personally think is one of my favorite in this movie is when Christados is watching BB skate. Now, we talked with Julian Glover about this in our interview with him. His reaction of watching her skate, he felt like he was a proud papa, but he wasn't her father. He was just her benefactor. So I really, really like that.
Yeah. On to OCTOPUSSY 1983. Of course, one of the fan favorites, the clown disguise. Bond's daring escape while disguised as a clown at the circus was memorable for its mix of tension and humor. But, you know, a lot of people say, it was stupid, Bond in the clown suit. You use whatever you have to use to do whatever you have to do. In this particular case, he's in the circus. How's he going to escape? That way. And Pietro Rossi, who's in our private face group as well, he agrees. He said Bond as a circus clown manages to convince a general that the bomb is real is a great scene. Shows Bond's authority shine through. Anyone can convince a general dressed in a suit, but only Bond could do so dressed as a clown.
Thanks for that, Pietro. Cool. I totally agree with you on this clown disguise. All right, we got another train fight there.
Yeah.
So we've got an intense fight scene on the train where Bond battles Govinda I mean, this thing was praised for its action and its choreography.
Yep, right. And then you got the plane stunt, which is fantastic. The climactic scene where Bond clings to the outside of a plane during a midair battle was thrilling and showcased impressive stunt work.
Which we've seen Tom Cruise now do in Mission Impossible. I also like, there's a fight scene in Octopussy, the one with the guy with the yo-yo saw thing, and then the octopus kind of starts sucking on his face. I think that's, to me, one of my favorite parts of that movie.
Okay. All right. So there's a Tom fan favorite. All right. All right. A View to a Kill, 1985. Let's move on. The Eiffel Tower jump. Hey, this scene where Mayday, played by Grace Jones, of course, parachutes off the Eiffel Tower after an assassination was an iconic and visually striking scene and a fan favorite. And also the Golden Gate Bridge finale, the final showdown between Bond and the villain Zorin on the Golden Gate Bridge was highly memorable for its dramatic setting and action.
And keeping in my theme of chases, we've got a fire truck chase here. There's the chase scene.
First time.
With Bond and Stacy escaping in a fire truck through the streets of San Francisco. It was exciting, well received. A lot of people have been in that area of San Francisco. And we got to see the cab of that fire truck at the Ian Fleming Foundation, who owns it and is currently restoring it.
Yeah, we got to sit in it. Oh, fantastic. All right, on the Living Daylights, 1987, Timothy Dalton's first Bond outing. Opening Gibraltar sequence, people love it. The thrilling pre-title sequence here where Bond jumps onto a moving Land Rover during a training exercise was praised for its excitement and stunt work. Parachuting to the boat is another favorite, setting up for the Bond, James Bond line for a new James Bond and the big reveal. So that was cool. A lot of people love that scene. They love the whole parachuting scene, all the parachuting scenes, from jumping from the plane to Gibraltar, all of these.
Good stuff. Now another one of these mixed emotion scenes where some people say it's their favorite and other people are like, oh, I didn't like that, was the cello case escape, where Bond and Kara escaped down that snowy slope in that cello case.
Yeah.
And when we talked with Chris Corball, the special effects guru, he told us about the idea for the case, how it came about. Listen to our episode. We did a nice interview with him on this.
Yeah, he was fantastic. We did that in person. All right. And then, of course, the Afghanistan battle, the climatic battle in Afghanistan featuring Bond teaming up with the Mujahideen to thwart the villains was noted for its scale and intensity, as well as the final fight scene on the plane. So, yeah. Wow.
That was good. Now, one that didn't make the cut that surprised me was the whole escape of Koskov by Necros. Yeah. With the milk bottles and everything. I just loved that scene. And I was surprised that didn't make our list.
Yeah, and we actually visited that mansion in England, the Stoner Mansion, I believe, and where they filmed that scene where the helicopter landed, where he goes in and they blow the windows out and stuff. It was pretty cool. All right, License to Kill, Timothy Dalton's second outing, one of our favorite Bond movies, period. Everybody loves Felix Leiter's attack. Ooh, I don't love the attack, but it's a fan favorite in terms of a scene from a Bond movie, the brutal scene where Felix Leiter is attacked by a shark and left for dead by the villain, Sanchez. That was shocking, and it set a darker tone for the movie. So we actually visited the Crest Warehouse in Key West, Florida, where the majority of this scene was filmed. We actually found all of the filming locations in the Keys that were used in License to Kill. There are a ton, like the Barrelhead Bar, the church where Della and Felix get married, the airport where Sanchez lands and escapes, and tons more. So check out our podcasts and videos, too, on these film locations. Excellent.
All right, so I'm going to go back to my chase theme, the tanker truck chase. It's a high-octane chase involving Bond driving a tanker truck through the desert.
Yep.
There are really cool stunts performed to evade Sanchez's men, and this was a highly praised scene for the action and the practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, Pam Bouvier does a great job flying and driving the truck to save Bond once again. Yes. She was played by Carrie Lowell.
Yes. Fantastic Carrie is in that. I loved her in it. All right. The final confrontation, of course, the intense and adrenaline-filled final showdown between Bond and Sanchez, culminating in Sanchez being set on fire with the gift that Bond received from Della and Felix, the lighter. Not Felix Leiter, but the lighter. Was memorable for its raw and visceral nature. This is one of the most violent scenes, really, in any Bond movie when you think about it.
I mean, and there's a scene right before it that gets really violent where Dario ends up in that chipper they were trying to throw Bond in.
Yeah,
And that was very memorable as well.
yeah. We've seen guys go through chippers before with in
In
Her
Fargo.
Majesty's Secret Service.
In Fargo.
Fargo too. All right, for me, there are too many great scenes in this movie, and Robert Davi is at the heart of most of them. Davi tells some fantastic, interesting backstories in our chat with him, so definitely check out that episode as well. All right, moving on to GoldenEye, the introduction of Pierce Brosnan, 1995, as Bond. Of course, pre-title sequence, the damn jump. I'm not saying the damn jump. I'm talking about the damn jump.
That's a great damn jump.
The opening bungee jump off the dam is one of the most iconic stunts, again, in the Bond series. Praised for his daring and visual impact. Fans loved it. Now, you can actually go jump from this dam, the Verzazga Dam in Locarno, Switzerland. Yeah, well, I'm not, but you can if you like. Go ahead.
You won't see me joining you.
No.
All right. So that brings us to a chase.
Yeah, chase.
Chases are always fan favorites. We've got that tank chase through St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
Bond commandeers this tank to pursue the villains. It was, again, highly memorable for the action and scale. And when we interviewed Chris Corball, it was his idea to use the tank for the chase scene.
Yeah.
That was not going to be a tank initially.
Yeah. It was unique. Again, first time, I think. All right, the satellite dish finale, the climatic battle here between Bond and Alec Trevelyan on the satellite dish was noted for its intensity and its dramatic showdown and how ruthless Bond is. Because when Trevelyan, before Bond's holding him by the foot, and Trevelyan says, "For England, James," Bond says, "No, for me." Boom! And he lets him go to his death. Okay. That's another one of these scenes like from Dr. No when he shoots Dent. Like, okay, I could let you live or I could let you die. Boom. Yep.
Well, now, for me, there are two themes that stand out in terms of the themes. And one is that tank scene, just because I've been to St. Petersburg and seen some of that area. But every scene where Boris and Natalia were together,
yeah,
and they were trying to outdo each other as to who was better. Alan Cummings' portrayal there in each of those scenes, to me, was just classic. It's over the top.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to talk to him. He would be so fun. All right, on to Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997. Pre-title sequence, the opening scene where Bond infiltrates a terrorist arms bazaar and escapes with a jet carrying nuclear missiles. Praised for its excitement and high stakes. A fan favorite for sure, worldwide. This is a great pre-title, and of course, we have an episode out on that pre-title sequence as well.
All right, so Tomorrow Never Dies, another Bond movie, another chase. And this time we've got a motorcycle chase with Bond and Wai Lin, and they're on that motorcycle and they're handcuffed together. Again, this was memorable because of its action and the chemistry of the characters and the fact that they're handcuffed.
Yeah.
Really, it was a really good chase scene. And I've talked before about how I don't really like motorcycle chases. I actually like this one.
Yeah, it's a good one and unique again. They tried to keep doing things different. Being handcuffed together was cool. All right, now you got the stealth ship battle, of course. That the final battle on the ship where Bond takes on Elliot Carver and all his men, of course. That was noted and fan favorite for its action-packed and satisfying conclusion to this movie. This is a definite plus to the movie, and it is a dramatic finish, so I could see why it was selected as a fan favorite.
Yeah, now for me, another shorter segment was with Dr. Kaufman. And that scene between Kaufman and Bond, you've got two assassins. They're trying to figure out how to outdo each other. I thought that was a classic scene.
Yeah. All right. Another fan favorite for Tom's fan favorite. All right. The 19th James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough, 1999. Hey, we got a chase.
Yeah, so of course we've got a chase.
Yeah.
We've got the boat chase on the Thames.
Yeah.
That opening boat chase through London, it culminates in an explosion at the Millennium Dome. It was praised for its excitement and impressive stunts. Again, places you could have been already, and a lot of people have seen those areas.
Yeah.
And Dan and I visited some of the filming locations for this chase.
Yep.
We've actually touched the Q-boat. We've taken pictures of it as well. The thing still runs.
Yeah, it actually is a real boat that really works. It's got like a 400 horsepower engine, I think. All right, Bond's confrontation with Elektra. This intense scene where Bond confronts the and ultimately kills Elektra King, delivering the line "I never miss," was memorable for its emotional weight and the character development of Bond. This, to me, once again shows Bond as ruthless and dedicated to his mission, no matter what. This was a great choice by fans, and it's one of my favorite scenes as well in this movie when he just boom, point blank shoots and kills her.
Yeah.
All right.
And another fan favorite in here is the pipeline bomb defusal.
Oh yeah.
That tense sequence where Bond and Dr. Christmas Jones they attempt to defuse that bomb in an oil pipeline. It was noted for its suspense and action. And we like this one too. And we have an episode out defending Denise Richards in this movie because she took so much grief, and we think undeservedly so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, one of my action sequences that I think is one of my personal favorites is that scene at Valentine's with the caviar, and then you've got that helicopter with the saws.
Yeah.
I think that always hits home for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Die Another Day, Tom's favorite movie, 2002. All right. All right. Look, the pre-title sequence in North Korea is cool. This opening sequence where Bond is captured and tortured in North Korea set a darker tone. And, for a Pierce Brosnan movie, this was a dark tone. And it was praised for its intensity and its interest-grabbing concept because we've seen Bond being captured a lot of times, but for short times, and in a lot of the movies. But this was different. This was very different. So,
and in that pre-title sequence, we get a great chase.
yeah.
That hovercraft chase.
Yeah.
I mean, you go through the DMZ in North Korea,
yeah,
and this chase gave us a unique setting, a unique vehicle, and thrilling action. I mean, this was a different kind of chase that we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
That alone was really cool.
Saved by the Bell.
The best part of a movie that I don't really like to watch.
Yeah. And then the Ice Palace battle. That was another fan favorite. The action-packed battle at the Ice Palace includes Bond's escape in an Aston Martin equipped with various gadgets, of course. Fans loved it. We like Zhao's green Jaguar, which we had a chance to actually sit in. So that was pretty cool as well. That was a great chase scene, the ice battle. Great. All right.
Yep.
On to Casino Royale, one of my favorite Bond movies ever made, 2006, introducing another new Bond, Daniel Craig. This is really a near perfect movie. There are dozens of great action scenes that fans can pick, but here are the top ones that they have selected. In the pre-title sequence, we see 2 kills that Bond gets to get his 00 status. That's a fan favorite. It's a near perfect scene. The black and white was a great touch, showing it was something that had happened in the past, and here he is getting his 00 status. So again, fans absolutely loved this scene.
And then now we're going to talk about 2 other fan favorites that are chases.
More chases.
More chases. We've got the parkour chase. And that's that chase in the opening scene in Madagascar where Bond pursues a bomb maker through a construction site.
Yeah.
It's thrilling. It showcases Bond's physical prowess and a grittier, more physical Bond than we've seen in some of the more recent Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Faucon did an outstanding job. I mean, this is the guy who kind of invented free running or parkour. And so to have him in that role was great.
Yeah.
All right, so that's chase 1.
Yeah.
The second chase that has gotten great feedback is the airport chase, the chase in the Miami International Airport where Bond thwarts a terrorist plot.
Oh yeah,
it's another highlight.
That's good. Yep, and then you got the poker game. You got so many in this; it's hard to pick them. But these are the top 5 or 6 fan favorites. The high stakes poker game is a fan favorite at the Casino Royale in Montenegro. It's key and central to the movie, and it intrigues viewers and keeps us waiting to see what's going to happen next. Fans love it.
Okay, now I'm going to say something that's going to surprise you, Dan. This is one of those scenes that is one of the only times that I can say something positive about Purvis and Wade. They took what was in the book Baccarat and put in poker, which was an extremely popular sport at that time. And so I actually tip my hat to them for that one. And you don't hear me say that often. It was a change from Fleming that they made that I actually liked.
All right. And then the torture scene, while it's a fan favorite, it's tough to see. The brutal torture scene where Le Chiffre tortures Bond. It's memorable for its intensity, of course, and for Daniel Craig's performance. He was fantastic in this scene. In the book, it is tense as well, but seeing it, man, you got to
Yeah,
cringe with each blow. Boom.
I'm,
It
I'm with you
hurts.
there.
It hurts.
I'm with you there. All right, so then we'll get into the final scene in Venice, where Bond tries to save Vesper Lind. It's action packed. It's emotionally charged, and
Yeah.
of course, the bitch is dead.
Yeah. Another fan favorite. All right. Quantum of Solace, 2008. The opening car chase. Hey, the thrilling car chase through the narrow roads of Italy, which sets the tone for the movie, was praised for its intensity and action and interesting twists and turns, and for it being a direct continuation of the previous movie. Direct. Yes.
Gotta love a good chase.
So,
Right.
fans
Now,
love it.
another one that we've seen in other movies since is the Tosca opera scene. I mean, that scene at the opera where Bond disrupts the secret meeting of Quantum members,
Oh, yeah.
it was noted for its creative direction, the tension it created, and a unique setting at the time. Again, we've seen it in other movies since, but unique at this time.
Yeah, you can see why fans like that one. All right, the final confrontation again. A lot of times, the final confrontation is a favorite. The climatic showdown in the burning hotel in the Bolivian desert, where Bond confronts Dominique Green. Memorable for its dramatic and fiery setting, and of course, the desert walk. I love that too. But they actually use real fire. I remember when we were talking to Roberto Schaefer, the director of photography there, he said, yeah, they were really using real fire there. So,
And don't forget, Dan, the scene where M meets Bond at the hotel and Strawberry Fields is covered with oil.
yeah.
I don't like too many of the callbacks that they do, but I really like this one.
Yeah, Roberto talks about that one as well, as we said.
Maybe because there was no pillow.
Yeah, no billet. All right, Skyfall 2012. Okay, everybody loves, well, most fans love the opening train fight scene. The pre-title sequence featuring Bond's fight on top of a moving train and his subsequent fall into the river was highly memorable for its action and dramatic impact, and for fans not knowing what the fate of Bond was. And we see Moneypenny in the field again. So that was kind of cool. So fans love that one.
Yeah. Another one they liked was that fight in the Shanghai skyscraper.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was really the way they filmed that. It was visually stunning fight in this skyscraper. It had impressive use of lighting and the reflections.
Yes. Great.
And it was highly praised for its cinematography.
It should be.
But I also like when he cuts that window open and you hear that wind sound. I just love that.
Yeah, that's a great touch. All right. When Bond is on the train and using the caterpillar claw machine to grab the train car in front of him so he can get onto it, that's another tremendous scene and a fan favorite. People loved when he adjusts his cufflinks after landing safely in the train car. Again, people absolutely love that he did that. I mean, Pierce Brosnan did a few things like that with his tie in the movies. That was his little thing. Here, he's adjusting his cufflinks. It's like, okay.
Well, even Jaws, where like he'd get out of something, he's gonna dust off and go.
Right. Yeah. Tom and I sat in the very caterpillar claw machine that Daniel Craig used in this scene, in the same seat that Daniel Craig was sitting in. How fun was that? Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
All right.
All right. So then we have to go to the Skyfall Lodge. Amazing set.
Yeah.
And that climactic battle at Bond's childhood home, the Skyfall Lodge, that's where M and Bond face off against Silva and his men.
Yeah.
I mean, this was noted for the emotional depth and action that happens here.
Yeah.
The cinematography,
Fantastic.
as well as how they did M's death.
Yeah.
So it was all done really well.
Yeah. It's a sad scene seeing M go. And Albert Finney, who played Kincaid, was fantastic in the scenes. I mean, he was just absolutely stunning. Unfortunately, he has passed away.
Yeah. Now, my favorite scene out of this is not one of these fan favorites, but Tom's fan favorite is when Bond meets Silva for the first time.
Yeah.
The set, the dialogue, the acting.
Dialogue.
To me, all of it really worked. And I think part of it's because it kind of is like the Dr. Kaufman scene I talked about earlier. Two assassins squaring off, trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah. All right. On to Spectre 2015, the opening scene. This sequence, set during the Day of the Dead Festival in Mexico City, features an impressive long take that follows Bond through the streets, into a hotel, onto a rooftop, attempting to fulfill M's request of him to kill Marco Sciarra. This, I think, it's really one of my favorite pre-title sequences, really. It's a great one. I see why this is a fan favorite. Awesome.
Yeah, and another fan favorite. Train fights always are fan favorites. And here we get a great intense fight between Bond and Mr. Hinks.
That's good.
Played by Dave Bautista on a train. It's another stupendous highlight, another great train fight, and a fan favorite.
Yeah. Another fan favorite is when Bond meets Madeline Swan, played by Lea Seydoux, for the first time at the Halford Clinic in Austria, is also quite memorable and a fan favorite. Cool. Not one of my favorite scenes, but it's cool.
Well, see, there's another scene with him and a woman that I like better, and that's the one where he meets Lucia, played by Monica Bellucci.
Yeah.
I thought the set was great. The setting was great, where they start out at the funeral and then they're back at her place.
Yeah. And Monica Bellucci is great.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah. The final scene is also a favorite on Westminster Bridge, a unique moment in Bond movie history. He does not kill Blofeld. He unloads his weapon and tosses it into the Thames. Hey. Pretty cool.
I wish they would have ended Daniel Craig's career at that point.
Yeah, all right.
His career is James Bond. I don't want to.
All right. All right, now we're going to go on to the final Eon production movie, No Time to Die, 2001, and fan favorites. There are none. No, I'm kidding. Do
we have to talk about this movie?
Fans do have some favorites. The opening scene. This scene features the young Madeline Swan being attacked by Safin, which sets the tone for the rest of the movie. This really is so well done and tells us an important backstory. Fans love it. I actually thought that was a pretty good opening. That was nice. All right.
Yeah, we've got a chase, Dan.
Oh, another chase.
Chase scene in Matera.
Got to have one.
Right. There's a car chase through the streets of Matera, Italy. Standout moment. There's the motorcycle as well. I love the Aston Martin donut scene when Bond, at the request of Madeline, starts to do something to fight back.
Yeah. That's good.
Again, check out our in-person conversation with Chris Corwell, who orchestrated the special effects here.
Yeah, that was something how they did that, really. All right, let's talk Paloma. All the scenes with Paloma, Ana de Armas, are spectacular. She is a breath of fresh air in a movie that sucks the oxygen out of the room. So yes, a very big fan favorite. Paloma is special in this movie. I hope they bring her back.
I totally agree with you.
And of course, when Safin takes Matilda, another fan favorite, in terms of the intensity of the movie, this scene where Safin kidnaps Matilda, Bond's daughter, is another key moment that stands out in viewers' memories. And it is an intense scene, I have to say.
You know, you just talked about Safin with Matilda.
Yeah.
And some of the interactions of people in this movie are pretty good. And one of the characters in this movie has some very funny stuff at the beginning of the movie. It's Valdo Obruchik. And he's the one that's kind of like, I'm just a scientist and stuff. He's hilarious throughout the movie. And so I just wanted to call him out as one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Right. All right. And
in fact, maybe my only favorite part of this movie.
And a final fan favorite, if it can be a favorite, the emotional farewell to Daniel Craig's Bond, particularly the final scenes. Yeah, it got a lot of attention and a lot of praise for the emotional depth and the shocking ending. Kind of like the most shocking ending we've had since on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Except this is a little even more shocking.
Well, they kind of based a lot of this movie on that.
Yeah, it was well done. We don't like the way this thing ended, but anyway, fans see this as a favorite. Okay. Of course, we've got a couple of other non-Eon production Bond movies that were out. Never Say Never Again and Casino Royale 1967. We're not going to go over those in this particular episode. So that's a wrap. Tell us what your favorite scenes are through our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/SpyMovieNavigator. Let us know if you agree with these fan favorite scenes. All right, this has been Dan.
And Tom.
From SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Please subscribe to our show right now while you're thinking about it. Thanks for spending time with us. We appreciate it.